Hey, Officer Singleton, you're excused from the courtroom, but you're still on recall under subpoena. Thank you very much. The state police call their next witness.
May we call Investigator or Officer Chris Serino.
You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir. Could you state your name for the record, please?
Good afternoon, sir. Christopher F. Serino.
What is your occupation?
I'm a Sanford police officer.
How long have you been a member of the Sanford Police Department?
Going on 16 years.
And prior to that, did you have some law enforcement experience, sir?
Yes, sir, I did.
Could you briefly tell us about that?
With the Department of Defense out of Pearl Harbor, Hawaii as a uniformed federal police officer.
How long were you so employed?
2 years.
What are your current duties with the Sanford Police Department?
A patrol officer.
Okay. And how long have you been a patrol officer this time? I know you've gone back and forth.
I believe since July or August of last year.
Okay. Back in February of 2012, were you assigned to the Investigative Division or Major Crime Section unit?
Yes, sir, I was.
And how many tours have you done in that unit and then also back to patrol? Is that a normal thing, or tell us about that briefly?
It's a lateral transfer position. This is my third tour back there.
I want to draw your attention to February 26th of 2012. Were you the on-call investigator, and did you respond to the retreat at Twin Lakes?
Yes, sir, I was.
Approximately what time do you believe you got there?
I believe I got there at approximately 8 p.m.
And when you arrived there, were there officers already present?
Yes, sir, there were.
Okay. Was the body of the person later identified to you as Trayvon Benjamin Martin still at the scene, sir?
Yes, he was.
And was the person who shot Trayvon Martin, that is George Zimmerman, still at the scene when you arrived?
No, he was not.
And did you remain at the scene and later go to the Sanford Police Department?
Yes, sir.
Okay. At the scene, did you speak to officers there?
Yes, sir, I did.
And did you also meet with witnesses?
Yes, sir, I did.
When you first arrived, had the body of the victim, Trayvon Martin, been identified at that point?
No, sir, he had not.
Okay. And at that time, you didn't know who he was or whether he even lived in that area, is that correct?
No, sir, we didn't know.
Were attempts made to identify him at the scene, sir?
Yes, there were.
And can you briefly tell us how that was done, sir?
By facial recognition of officers that were there, by canvassing the area for potential people that may have known who he was. We ultimately were able to obtain a device. It's called the live scan device, and we checked his fingerprints to see if they were on file in our database, and we had no results.
So everything was negative in terms of being able to identify the person you now know as Trayvon Benjamin Martin?
Yes, sir. All attempts were negative.
Okay. And later, in fact, did you further check at the Sanford Police Department and his name did not appear in your all's records, is that correct?
Yes, sir, I did.
Now, later that evening, did you end up going to the Sanford Police Department?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And do you recall exactly what time you got there?
It was around midnight.
Okay. When you came into the Sanford Police Department, did you end up having contact with the person now known to you as George Zimmerman?
Yes, I did.
Could you please identify him by stating where he is seated in an article of clothing that he wears?
At the defense table, please.
Your Honor, if the record reflect the witnesses identify the defendant.
The record will so reflect.
When you came into contact with the defendant, George Zimmerman, were you aware that he already had been interviewed by investigator Doris Singleton?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you have a very brief interview with him right after midnight, around 12:05 or so a.m.?
Yes, I did.
Okay. We'll pull it up. And before I play that, was that interview recorded in terms of a audio recording?
Yes, sir, it was.
Okay. Go ahead.
This investigator's from the San Diego Police Department. Today's date is...
For purpose of the record, Your Honor, I believe we need to introduce that into evidence as the next exhibit. It's going to be number 179. It's previously been shown to the defense counsel, and they have no objection. That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, it comes in as State's Exhibit 179.
Investigators from the San Diego Police Department. Today's date is Monday, February the 27th, 2012. It's now 12:05 a.m. I'm located at the San Diego Police Station, 815 West 13th Street, City of San Francisco, County, Florida. Person's in the room with George Zimmerman, correct?
Yes, sir.
Your date of birth, sir?
10-5-83.
Highest level of education?
Associates.
Okay, you've been written in what?
Pardon?
In what?
Criminal justice.
Okay. You've been read your rights correctly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you understand that you're not quite free to go because we're in the process of, but you're not quite going to jail, that kind of stuff?
Yes, sir.
I got the gist of it all. I'm going to ask a quick question. This photograph that I'm showing you right here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you recognize that face?
No, sir.
Okay, this is the person that had the incident with you today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's going to be important for you to understand. I'll show you the pictures later on. I don't know who he is, okay? Real briefly, I'm going to give you what I got, okay? You were going to the store,
Yes, sir.
okay, and you saw somebody who felt to be suspicious?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this suspicious person, because of the break-in in the neighborhood, you decided to call 911?
No, sir.
Okay.
The non-emergency line.
You called 911?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the 665, 6650, or the others?
5199.
Okay, so you did non-emergency, okay.
Yes, sir.
You reported a suspicious person?
Yes, sir.
You followed this person?
Yes, sir.
You lost visual on this person? Where did this whole thing start at?
Retreat view circle in the...
Okay, tomorrow morning, daylight hours. Do you work?
Yes, sir.
Where?
Digital risk Maitland,
When do you get out of work?
5 a.m.
Okay, when do you start work?
9 a.m.
Okay, 5 p.m. tomorrow, when you get off work, when you get home, can you call me?
Yes, sir.
So we can go ahead and walk through the scene entirely?
I have class tomorrow.
Okay.
I can skip it.
Can you get a note? Who's your instructor? What are you taking?
I'm continuing for my bachelor's.
In criminal justice? Which university?
Political science. SCC, the UCF.
UCF partnership, okay. What time does class start?
6:30.
We could probably do this in half an hour, okay? I want to retrace your path, okay, exactly what happened. I want to videotape this. The difference between statutes and homicide and justifiable homicide, use of force, you're aware of them, you have a degree, you're familiar with what we're talking about here, right? Okay, you follow this person, you lose sight of this person, you're walking in the darkness out there, you have a flashlight?
It was dead. I had one, but it was dead.
You had to hit it a couple times, it's on right now, so.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, okay. It's probably the one I have, you gotta smack it around a couple times. This person jumped you from somewhere?
Yes, sir.
From the darkness?
Yes, sir.
Did he say anything to you?
Yes, sir.
What did he say to you?
When he came up to me, he said, "You got a problem?" And I said, "No." And then I went to reach for my phone to find my phone to call 911 instead of non-emergency.
Okay.
And then he punched me. He said, "You have a problem now," and then he punched me in the face.
Let's just say, okay, you have a problem now, okay? He punched you, you fell?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you got injuries, where you punched in your face or your chest or where?
In my face.
Okay.
My head. I mean, all over my head.
Okay, you cleaned up already because Officer Smith said you were pretty much battered when,
Yes, sir.
okay. He mounted you basically?
Yes, sir.
And he started to beat up on you?
Yes, sir.
At what point did you draw your weapon?
After he hit my head against the concrete several times,
Okay.
he yelled out for help, and then he tried to smother my mouth and my
Who
nose.
yelled for help?
I did.
Okay, and at which point he did what?
He smothered my mouth and my nose.
Okay.
And when he did that, I tried to slide out and squirm, and I realized my shirt came up, and I felt him slide his hand towards my right side, and he said, "You're gonna die, motherfucker." And then that's when I grabbed it. I don't know if it was away from him or, I just...
So he was going for your gun?
Yes, sir.
What kind of gun was it?
A Kel-Tec PF9.
9mm?
9mm.
Okay, semi-automatic?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What kind of ammunition?
I think it was hollow point.
Okay. Okay. What happened then?
I shot him.
Were you able to unholster entirely? You cleared the holster
Yes,
and you shot him?
Yes, sir.
One time?
One time.
Okay. When you shot him, what happened?
He kind of sat up and he said, "You got me."
Okay.
And so I don't remember if I pushed him or he fell, but somehow I got out from under him. And when he was hitting me, I don't know what he was hitting me with. I thought he had something in his hands. So I grabbed his hands when I was on top of him, and I spread his hands away from his body because he was still talking. And I was on top of him. And that's when somebody came, and they had a flashlight too. And I thought it was a police officer, so I got off of him.
What was he saying when he was talking to you?
I don't know. After you got me, I don't remember.
If you're going to have anxiety over this and nightmares and everything else, so you're probably going to have a hard time with this whole thing. I'm here for that. That's all I can give you between now until tomorrow. I can get you other kinds of help afterwards, okay? But you got to go and get some rest. Is there anything else you want to add? So in your mind's eye, this person was committing no good over there. You followed in good faith to go ahead and see what he was doing. He jumped you. He attacked you, okay? He reached for your gun. You discharged. You got off of him. You only shot once. Police arrived. You surrendered, and here you are.
He told me he was going to kill me.
Exactly. He said he was going to kill you. Okay. Anything else you want to add? You've already, maybe once already probably done. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put this in with now 12:10.
Investigator Sereno, may I approach the witness, Your Honor? Investigator Sereno, you mentioned in the interview with the defendant that you showed him a photograph. Would this have been the photograph you would have shown him?
I believe so, sir.
Right, if I may publish that to the jury?
Yes, you may. Investigator Sereno, when you showed him this photograph, the defendant told you he didn't know the person, correct?
That's correct, sir.
When you spoke to him, I want to show you some photographs. I'll probably need Ms. Waldrop's help. Get the photograph. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, but you're on the side. You see that in front of you, State's Exhibit 64?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And is this the condition that you observed the defendant, Mr. Zimmerman, when you spoke to him, sir?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. I don't think I need the lights anymore. My question is, when you spoke to him, did you have any problems understanding him when you spoke to you?
No, sir, I did not.
Did he have any problems understanding you, sir?
No, sir.
Did you threaten him in any way in order to get him to make any statements, sir?
No, sir, no.
Did you make him any promise in order to get him to make his statements?
No.
Your observations of the defendant that evening, did you consider those injuries to be minor, major, or what?
Minor.
You mentioned you made arrangements, and that recording is reflected, to meet with him later the next, I guess it technically would have been the morning of the 27th, later that evening, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, later that morning, before you made contact with the defendant, did you become aware of a missing person report that turned out to be Trayvon Martin?
Yes, sir, I did.
And did you respond back to the scene and go to 2631 Retreat View Circle, where Brandy Green lived and where Trayvon Martin was staying that weekend?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Your Honor, may I approach the witness again?
Yes, you may.
You have the chart by any chance? There's two of them. The whole thing. Investigator Sereno, I'm showing you State Exhibit 140. When you came into contact with Brandy Green, and I believe also Tracy Martin, would that have been at 2631?
Yes, sir.
And is that where you understood Mr. Martin, Trayvon Martin was staying? Did you end up showing Tracy Martin a photograph, and did he identify that person as his son?
Yes, I did.
Now, sir, I want to draw your attention to February 27th, that same day. Did you later come into contact with the defendant, George Zimmerman, at the retreat at Twin Lakes, sir?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. And were you present when the defendant was interviewed? Specifically, he was put in a car with Sergeant Randy Smith, and you followed with investigator Singleton, and then later the defendant actually gets out of the vehicle and demonstrates to you or describes what he claims occurred?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you reviewed that video?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And for the record, Your Honor, it's State's Exhibit 181. And Your Honor, before we play it, we do have an instruction that we would request the court to read at that time. It's titled, State's Proposed Jury Instruction Regarding Redaction of Defendant's Interview with Sanford Police Investigators.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, at the direction of the court, certain portions of the defendant's interview with the Sanford Police Department investigators have been excised or redacted based on legal determinations made by the court. The parts excised or redacted are not relevant, and you are not to concern yourselves with why this occurred or with the content of any excised or redacted portions. Thank you.
And with the court's permission, may we publish that to the jury now? This right here is going to be the defendant in Sergeant Randy Smith's car, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How you been? Everybody behave. And action. I see a retreat view, one retreat view. Today's date is February the 27th. It's now 5:20 in the afternoon, 17:20 hours. And this is reference to Sanford Police Case number 2012,
1136.
1136.
Right here, right in front of this house.
Okay. Right in front of 1460?
Yes, sir.
All right. And what was he was walking in between the buildings, or?
He was walking like in the grassy area, like up towards, kind of between these two poles, and like I said, it was rainy, and he was just leisurely looking at the house, and like I said, my wife I left for the grocery store, and I just felt like something was off about him.
Right.
So I said, and there's been a history of break-ins in that building, and I called previously about this house.
Right.
When the police arrived at this house, when I called the first time, the windows were open and the door was unlocked. And the police came and secured it. So I said, you know what, it's better to just call. And I kept driving. I passed him, and he kept staring at me and staring around, looking around to see who else was. I don't know why he was looking at me.
Did he walk off from there, or did he stop there last night?
He stopped, and he like looked around, and that's what threw me off. Was it's raining. I didn't understand why somebody would be just stopping in the rain, especially it wasn't like he was trying to run to get out of the rain, and I had never seen him before. Didn't look like he was exercising.
Where was he standing at when he stopped?
Right in front of 1460.
On the sidewalk or in the grass
The
area?
grassy area.
Right in the grassy area?
Yes.
Okay. Like about right in front of where the car is?
Yes, sir.
And then you
I drove past him,
okay.
and I went to the clubhouse.
All right.
Up here on the right-hand side.
And parked up there?
Yes, sir.
And what was his, naturally, you're good, naturally he left. He caught up to you up here, or?
Yes, I called the non-emergency line, and when I got through, I parked at the clubhouse.
All right.
And they asked me, where I was, and I told them the clubhouse, and I think I gave them the address of the clubhouse.
Where'd you park at?
Right up here next to that green truck. I don't think that truck was there, but I just pulled up.
Okay. So you just pulled in here?
Yes, sir.
And this is where you got out?
No. This is where I just stopped to call, and then he walked past me, and he kept looking at my car, and still looking around at the houses and stuff. So then the dispatcher said, where did he go? What direction did he go in? And I said, I don't know. I lost, because he cut down here and made a right. I guess it's Twin Trees Lane. He made a right in there. And they said, well, what direction did he go in? And I said, I don't know. I can't see him.
Okay.
And they said, can you get to somewhere where you can see him? And I said, yeah, I can. So I backed out.
All right.
And I made this right here. And the left here. And I parked right about where that sign is in the yard.
In front of the Ford truck?
Yes, and I saw him standing right about here. And I saw him walking back that way and then cut through the back of the houses. He looked back and he noticed me and he cut back through the houses. I was still on the phone with non-emergency. And then he came back and he started walking up towards the grass and then came down and circled my car. And I told the operator that. He was circling my car. I didn't hear if he said anything.
Right.
But he had his hand in his waistband. And I think I told the operator that. And they said, where are you? And I could not remember the name of the street. Because I don't live on this street.
Right.
Retreat View Circle goes in a circle.
Right.
And I said, I don't know. And he goes, we need an address. And I said, I don't know an address. I think I gave them my address. And they said, give us directions to get to you. And I said, if you tell the police to go straight at the clubhouse and make a left, my truck will be there. And again, they asked me where he went, what direction he went in. And I said, I don't know. And then I thought to get out and look for a street sign.
Right.
So I got out of my car and I started walking.
Go ahead.
I was still on the phone with non-emergency and I started walking
Okay.
down this way. And because I didn't see a street sign here, but I knew if I went straight through that that's Retreat View Circle, and I could give him an address because he said, just give me the address of the house here in front of me. And there's no address because this is the back of the house. So I walked straight through here, and I didn't see him at all. I was walking, and I was still on the phone with the non-emergency.
Okay.
I got to about here, and I had a flashlight with me.
Okay.
The flashlight was dead though, and I looked around and I didn't see anybody. And I told non-emergency, I said, you know what? He's gone. He's not even here.
Right.
So I still thought I could use their address, so I walked all the way through. I actually walked all the way to the street, and I was going to give them this address, and they said, well, if he's not there, do you still want a police officer? And I said, yes. And they said, do you still want a police officer? And I said, yes. And they said, are you following him? Oh, I'm sorry, back there, they said, are you following him? And I said, yes, because I was, in the area. And they said, we don't need you to do that. And I said, okay. So that's when I walked straight through here to get the address so that I could meet the police officer. And then they said, I said, he's not here. They said, do you still want him to come? And I said, yes. And they said, where do you want him to come to? And I said, you know what, just tell him to meet me at my truck next to the clubhouse. If you go straight into the clubhouse and makes a left, I have a Honda Ridgeline, silver Honda Ridgeline is parked right there. I'll meet him right there. So I started walking back. I passed here, I looked, I didn't see anything again, and I was walking back to my truck. And then when I got to right about here, he yelled from behind me to the side of me. He said, yo, you got a problem? And I turned around, and I said, no, I don't have a problem, man.
Where was he at?
He was about there, but he was walking towards me.
This direction here.
Yes, sir. Like I said, I was already past that, so I didn't see exactly where he came from. But he was about where you were.
Okay.
And I said, no, I don't have a problem. And I went to go grab my cell phone, but I left it in a different pocket. I looked down in my pant pocket, and he said, you got a problem now. And then he was here, and he punched me in the face.
Right here?
Right up around here.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I don't remember exactly. I think I stumbled, and I fell down, and he pushed me down. Somehow he got on top of me.
On the grass or on the cement?
It was more over towards here. I think I was trying to push him away from me, and then he got on top of me somewhere around here. And that's when I started screaming for help. I started screaming, help, help, as loud as I could. And then is when he grabbed me. Oh, I tried to sit up, and that's when he grabbed me by the head and tried to slam my head down.
Were you on the cement?
No, my body was on the grass. My head was on the cement.
Because you were basically facing this way?
Yes, sir. Okay. That's as best as I could feel through my jacket. I felt like my body was on the grass and my head was on the cement, and he just kept slamming and slamming. And I kept yelling, help, 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 as loud as I could. He put his hand on his nose, on my nose, and his other hand on my mouth. He said, shut the fuck up. And then I tried squirming again, because all I could think about was when he he was hitting my head against it. It felt like my head was going to explode, and I thought I was going to lose consciousness. So I tried to squirm so that I could get, because he only had a small portion of my head on the concrete. So I tried to squirm off the concrete. And when I did that, somebody here opened the door, and I said, help me, help me. And they said, I'll call 911. I said, no, help me. I need help. And I don't know what they did, but that's when my jacket moved up, and I had my firearm on my right side hip. My jacket moved up, and he saw it. I feel like he saw it. He looked at it, and he said, you're going to die tonight, motherfucker. And he reached for it, but he reached, like I felt his arm going down to my side, and I grabbed it, and I just grabbed my firearm, and I shot him one time.
After you shot him, keep on going, what did he say?
After I shot him, he like sat up.
You're still in this position here, basically.
Yes, sir.
You're down here. You shot him, so he's in the grass.
Yes, sir. He was on top of me like this, and I shot him. And I didn't think I hit him, because he sat up, and he said, oh, you got me. You got it, you got me, you got it, something like that. So I thought he was just saying, I know you have a gun now, I heard it, I'm giving up. So I don't know if I pushed him off me or he fell off me. Either way, I got on top of him and I pushed his arms apart. And I said,
Trying to flip him over?
I don't remember how I got on top of him, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
But I got on his back and I moved his arms apart because when he was repeatedly hitting me in the face and the head, I thought he had something in his hands. So I moved his hands apart.
So you had him face down then?
Yes, face down, and I was on his back. And then somebody came with a flashlight, and I thought it was a police officer. So I said, are you the police? And I still had my handgun out, and I told him, I said, are you the police? And my gun's right here. And he goes, no, I'm not. I'm calling the police. And I said, don't call the police. Help me restrain this guy. And he said, I'm calling the police. And I said, I already called. They're on their way. They're coming. I need your help. And then's when the police officer came around. I saw the police officer. So I stood up and I holstered my weapon. And he said, who shot him? And I said, I did. And I put my hands up. I said, I did. And I don't know if he told me to. I just automatically turned my back to him. And I lifted my shirt and I said, my gun's right there. And I told him a few times, I said, my gun's right there. And he goes, okay, I understand. I just need you to keep your hands up. And he put the handcuffs on me, and then he took my firearm from me.
Any questions?
I don't have anything else that
No, sir.
you got no idea where he came from, or if he was over in this area? You walked by here, you never saw him?
No, I didn't see him at all. I looked as I was on the phone with the non-emergency. I looked, and I didn't see him at all. And I said, he's gone. I think I said something to the effect.
It was lighting about that time.
It was dark.
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 We fight with that
None
all
of the porch
time.
lights were on? Nothing out back here?
No.
That's real dark. We're going to recount to 7:30. See, get it better. It was 7:15 when this happened, right? 7:15?
I could look at my phone.
Yeah, that's good.
The only thing I saw was was on my front door, that from Sanford PD, that he lived in the neighborhood. I have a broken nose. She said I could use stitches, but she'd rather not put them in, as long as I didn't mess with my head, because the skin was already healing nicely. She said she didn't have to put stitches in right away.
Emergency room or your primary care?
My primary care.
Does it give you the or anything?
Pain medicine, and she gave me a referral for an ENT because she said that the swelling wouldn't let them do anything to my nose right now. But once the swelling went down, if I had a deviated septum or a disfigured septum, they would be able to fix it, but there's nothing they could do right now.
Okay. Let's go back to your house before I go over there. Let me see what this person has to say. I'll meet you back over in a second. Let's see what this person has to say. Will it help as far as your injuries documented from something like that, if possible?
Oh,
If not,
I'll ask her for them.
Yeah.
She made note of
Yeah.
everything.
Let me write them down with this name.
Yeah, just start turning around, get the back of his head, butterfly.
Do you want me to move? I said, do you want me to move or are you moving? I'm sorry. Moving also.
It's always better to have you say a couple words to her.
Oh, she said I had a
Brother saw something that we needed to know. It's always better to have.
sprained SI. Something about my sciatic something. She gave me just this scrapes there. I don't think so. No, I had a long sleeve shirt and a jacket on top. So. No, he was just focused on my head. There's the little bruise in there. There's on the mirror. There's a cut here.
The swelling went down, because I remember yesterday, I remember seeing swelling around right here, and I don't see it now.
And my wife is an RN student, so she went to work. It's just good to keep her busy, I guess.
Investigator Serena, I want to move now to February the 29th. Did you have further contact with the defendant?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And was that at the police, Sanford Police Department?
Yes, it was.
Was an interview conducted of the defendant on that day?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And were his Miranda rights given by Investigator Singleton?
Yes, they were.
Okay. Your Honor, in terms of time frame, we're going to play a recording now. It's about 45 minutes or so I'm fine, but I don't know.
Recess before we begin the recording, or just go forward? You're good? Okay.
Your Honor, at this time, we would move into evidence, State Exhibit 181. I'm sorry, that was already, it is, I apologize, 182.
Okay, no objection?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, 182 will come into evidence.
And Your Honor, we would ask that the court read the same instructions that we previously.
I need it from the clerk. Ladies and gentlemen, at the direction of the court, certain portions of defendant's interview with the Sanford Police Department investigators have been excised or redacted based on legal determinations made by the court. The parts excised or redacted are not relevant, and you are not to concern yourselves with why this occurred or with the content of any excised or redacted portions.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
You had previously testified about a recording that was audio. This one is actually videotaped, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
There are parts of it, though, that apparently you have a recorder to that's only audio. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when you're not in the room, I guess there's audio parts, and then you also, at the end, leave the room with the defendant and, I believe, investigator